Hey everyone, good evening and welcome to the day three session of Kotlin and Jetpack Compose sessions. My name is Ujjwal and I'm the GDSC lead for this year at IARE. So I'll be giving the introduction about day three of this Compose Camp sessions. So I'll move on in about 1 minute from now. And in case your friends are not able to join, you can please share them the YouTube link so that they can watch the live stream there itself. Okay, so here's the today's schedule on what we'll be discussing today. So the first few minutes I'd be doing a recap of what we did in day two, and then there's a data type called collections which we'll be exploring today from about 7:45 p.m. to 8:10. And then there is lazy layouts which can be implemented in Kotlin. Then we'll be moving on to projects and building a scrollable list app, and then we'll be providing more information on day four, and which is the finale of our Compose Camp sessions here at GDSC. So I'll just start with the recap of the day two concepts that we did last time. So we discussed about the conditional statements in Kotlin, like if statement, when, else, and so on, and then how we can use these conditional statements using the expressions. And then after the conditional statements in Kotlin, we then proceeded to build a dice roller app. Now the resources for this dice roller was provided in the session itself. And in case you have missed this, you can refer to the mail that was sent to you a few days ago. And then using the logic in Kotlin, we also built a tip calculator app. Whereas if you when you enter the your hotel bill or any sort of bill, it will generate the amount of tip that you need to pay to the hotel. So I'll just give it on to Praneetha now, who'll be continuing with the session.
Yes, thank you, Ujjwal. And hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you are all good with the concepts we have revised on day two session. So today we'll be discussing concept of collections in Kotlin. So collections are nothing but it's a group of elements. So we'll be having different types of collections in Kotlin. We'll be discussing three of them, which will be very useful for us in developing some basic applications. So first, we'll be discussing the type of collection, which is an array. So here you can see that array. An array is a sequence of values that all have the same data type. So we can see that if there is a single value, we can just store that in a single variable. But if we want to store multiple values, we can't declare that many variables multiple times. So here comes the concept of collections, and in this we'll be using array. So an array is nothing but a sequence of values. That means a set of values which are ordered in a sequence, and the limitation for the array will be they are of same type, same data type. That means in an array, if it is declared as an integer array, then all the elements of that array will be integers. Or if the array is declared as a type of strings, then all the elements of that array will be strings. So let's understand more about this array in Kotlin. So first we'll see how should we declare an array. Yeah. So here is the syntax to declare array. So with the val keyword, it is nothing but with what we declare an variable, and then rock planets. Maybe that will be the variable name, and this is a keyword for what we use to declare an array. That is array of, and that what we mention in those is the data type of that array, and then with close and open brackets we'll be mentioning all our elements present in our array. So let's see this in detail in our Kotlin playground. So Ujjwal, I'll be sharing the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, is my screen visible? Playground?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, okay. So now let's declare an array. For example, let's take the same example of planets. We have declared as val, and we have given some name to the variable or to the array. So we'll be declaring array of. We have got so many values here, so we'll be using array of, and we need to declare our data type. So we'll be declaring as string and enter the values here. Let it be Mercury and then Venus. So that's it. In this way, we'll be representing an array. So let's see how we'll be displaying the array. Like we can't display an array like this. We'll be accessing the element of an array. So index is what we call as an order. So the first element in an array will be having an index of 0, and then 1, then 2, and then so on. So the first element in an array or any collection will start with an index 0. So here is the method to access an element from the array. So within the square brackets, we need to mention the value of index. So let's access another value. Let it be 0 and 2. So at the second index, we will be having the value of Earth. So it should be printing Earth. So yes, it have print Earth. So in this way, we can print the array. Yeah. So instead of printing this in every line, we are having the for loop. So how to write the for loop? Using the for keyword, and we can mention planet in planets. This is some variable which will be iterating throughout the array, and just if we print that variable, we'll get all the elements of our array. See, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. So this is what about the uh, array. So we'll be having some limitations like array is of fixed size. We cannot add further elements, and array is of just dedicated to only a single data type. If at all we have declared it as string, and if we keep an integer, it will raise an error. So the integer literal does not conform to the expected type string. So it won't be. And if we change even this one, we need to provide all the elements of an array with the integers. So yes, so the mismatch. So in this way, our arrays will be working. And the next one will be discussing about list. Yeah. So list is nothing but it is same like array, but in the list we have overcome the exception in the array, that is the size matter. So in the list we can increase the size, or so it is known as a resizable array. Whereas in array we can't change the size once it is declared. So when an extra element, as you can see here, when an extra element is being added, so you can see that an extra element is being added here, but there is no place in the array. So what will this list will be doing? It will be adding more number of places in the list, and it will have its own place for the new element. In this way, list will be working in our Kotlin. So this is a major difference between array and list. So in list we'll be having two types of list, that is list and mutable list. So in list we can just it is same like array, we can just access the elements, but in mutable list we can add elements or remove the elements. So when you want to perform operation of on list, we need to use a mutable list instead of list. So let's see some examples. I'll share the playground screen. So let's make these planets as a list of instead of array of. Yeah, list of, and let's make it string. Let's put this Mercury. In the same way, we'll be getting this, and when you access it, planets of 0. So if you want to add something like let this be 0, 1, 2, 3. If you want to add a new element, planets of 4 is equals to, let it be Jupiter. So no set method providing array access. So we cannot add or divide anything, like add or remove anything from using the list. So to overcome this, we will be using a mutable list. So it's mutable list of. Need not mention the string here. Why? Because list can take all data types. So if you want to add something new element to this, we can just use add. So we have got the function add. You can just add a new element, and when you print the element, we have got the Jupiter. And even you can add the elements in between. Planets dot add. So we need to provide the index. Let it be 0. Let it be Pluto. So if we have added at the 0 index, so the first element will be the Pluto. So let's print the element which is at first after adding the Pluto. So yes, we have got our first element as Pluto. So in this way, when you want to change or apply methods on collections, we need to use a mutable list. And the third type of collection we'll be discussing is about set. So what is a set? I'll just share my PPT. So a set is a collection that does not have a specific order. So in previous two collections, we have seen that both arrays and lists have some specific order. That means they are indexed from 0. The first element is always 0, whereas the last elements will be that. So whereas in this set, there won't be any specific order in which it is declared, and even the set does not allow the duplicate values. So as you can see here, the set is not in, the values in the set are not in some ordered specific order, and each value is in some other place. So how we'll be declaring our sets? So even in the sets, we'll be having two types of sets, the set and the mutable set. When you want to perform any operations on sets, we'll be using mutable set. So in this way, we'll be declaring our sets, and let's do some examples even on the set. I'll be sharing the screen. So yes, so we'll just make it mutable set of mutable set of. So just let's just print the size planets dot size. We have got the size here. So now let's add some element into the set. Let's try to add earth and again print the size. So here you can see that even after adding the earth, we have got size of the set as 4. What do you think the reason is? So the reason is I have already mentioned that the set does not allow you to enter the duplicate values. That means if an element, each element is only repeated once. That means no element will be repeated. Each element will be present only once. So in this set, we have already had our earth as an element inside our set. So when we are trying to add the same element again, it won't allow to add the element. So in this way, we'll be getting the same size. So let's add some Pluto or other planet. So you can see that the Pluto is added and the size of the set is changed. So in this way, we'll be using our concept of sets. I hope you all understood the concept of collections in the Kotlin. So we will be having different types of collections. In that, we have discussed about arrays, lists, and sets. And there are some more collections like a map collection. So in the map collection, we'll be having the keys and the values. So key type and the value type we can declare both key type and value type. It is nothing like a dictionary. So each key will be having one particular value. So yes, if you have any doubts, you can ask in the chat box. If you are clear with the concepts, we'll start building our scrollable list app, which is very interesting app. We'll be putting a scroll and we'll be keeping some images with the text. So before starting our app, there is something to discuss about what we are building today. So I want you to introduce to your concept in our Android development. So how many of you observed that in our mobile apps we'll be having something which will be scrolling in this way, either towards up or towards left and right. So we'll be having a scrolling like this. Even in our WhatsApp or Instagram, we'll be scrolling up. So they are nothing but they are all some type of layouts which we'll be discussing today. So let's discuss what are these and how should we implement this. So the as we have discussed, if you have remembered, we have discussed about three types of layouts, three types of basic layouts. They are column, row, and box layouts. These are some same type of layouts. They are named as lazy column, lazy row, and lazy grids. That means the length or the width is not defined here. That means we'll be not knowing how many elements are there inside the column. So when you are not knowing, we need to implement in the lazy column. See, as you can see here, we'll be keeping on scrolling till the end. So to implement this, we'll be using a lazy column or lazy row. Why? Because it is a row. And if you want to scroll up, then we'll be implementing lazy column. And if you want to have something like grids, both a combination of rows and columns, then we'll be using our lazy grids. Let's get into the detail on how to implement our lazy column and lazy row with an example. So what we'll be doing here is we are having a list of flowers. So we'll be displaying the flower image and the flower name. So here is a simple code for this. So what we are doing here, we are implementing our lazy column. So lazy column is nothing but we'll be scrolling up and the column will be having our children or will be having each element inside the column. So lazy column items. Items is nothing but which will iterate throughout our list. So our list is flowers here. So items of flowers. What we are going for each flower, we are just calling another function flower item of that element. So what flower item is doing? It is just showing an image and text of that flower. So let's see the implementation of this and output of this. So this is our lazy column, and we'll be having our item with the header and items of the data, and each item will be having some another function which will be defining. So for the text header, we this one is the code. So what will be having our header, it will be displayed here on the top. And then for each item, we'll be having in this one, when you keep on scrolling, each item will be displayed. So this one is for the header, and this one is for the children of the column. So this is the concept of lazy column. It is easy to implement, and let's implement in our scrollable app. So we are going to build this app. In this, we can see that there is an image, and with that image, we are having a text. So when you keep on scrolling, we'll be getting a different images with different texts. So guys, are you all ready to start coding, start developing or building this app? So I hope you all understood about the lazy column and the lazy layouts. These are known as lazy layouts. This is the main concept we will be discussing in this on today's session. And in this lazy columns on lazy layouts, we'll be implementing the concept of collections, what we have discussed now. So I hope you all understood about this code and what we are doing here. So okay, so let's start and open our Android Studio. Okay, is my screen visible? Android Studio screen. I have shared the Android Studio screen. So even you can install the Android Studio and start building a basic apps. So far we have discussed 3 to 4 apps, and even we have provided you the resources. You can just refer if you have any doubts. So before going into the code, I want you all to download any 10 images. and keep them inside the drawable folder. Once you have kept your drawable folder like this as shown, we'll start our coding. So what we'll be doing in this, we'll be displaying a list of images along with the text. So for that, we'll be needing a list model. So what is a list model? So in this list, we are not only having a single one. That means we are having both image and a text. That means it is like a map. The for that image we'll be having and text. So we are just building a class, another class. So data class is nothing but we are just mentioning what is there inside that model. That means we are just giving information that inside our list model we'll be having a string resource and an image resource. That's it. So the string resource and the image. String is nothing but the text we'll be writing with the image, and image with which is will be displaying. So this is our list model. So we need to append data to this list model. So this is our data source. So inside this data source, we have written a function load data. So inside that we have created a one class which is a list model. So which contains an image and a string. So in this list model, so this function returns our list, which is a type of list model. So we'll be just creating the objects of that class. That is list model of Armstrong is some string, and we are just accessing our image. That is, I have already told you that R is the resource, and then drawable, and then image. In this way, we'll be having all our list models. These are all elements in our list model. Each list model will be containing both text and the image, as we have mentioned here. First one is a string, and the second one is an image. So we are just returning it, and we'll be calling this load data function in our main activity. So yes, here we have created a function which is display list, and we are just passing the arguments as list is, that is the final list we will be getting. So data source, that is the class we have added here, data source. And after the data source, we are just accessing the method which we have implemented inside the class with dot load data. So when you just load data, it will be returning a list of items which is of data type list model. So the now list this variable contains all our items. So as implemented as shown before, we'll be declaring one lazy column. Inside that lazy column, with the items, with the help of items, we'll be iterating throughout this list, and each list item we are just making it an another function. In this function we are just using a card is nothing but it is something like a box layout. So inside card we can write a column or a row. So I have taken a column here, and inside column we'll be just having our image and along with the text. So the list item here is what we are passing here. So in this list item, we'll be having our list item dot image resource, so which we have declared here as image resource, and the list item dot string resources we have declared here, which will be passing. And then just once you have edited for the UI, like we'll be having a full width and a height, required height. So you can add a content description if it is needed. If not, you can just put it null. So here we are giving a padding. That means padding is nothing but giving a space around an element. So here style will be having different typographies, like we'll be having H6, H1, body 1, H2, H3, caption. So we'll be having many types of textiles. So here for this caption we'll be using our H6. So this is our simple code to define or to display a list, scrollable list inside our application. So let's start our AVD. So you can see my AVD is starting. So once the emulator is ready, we can just click on run. You can see the build has started. Yeah. So build is completed. We'll just install. So you can see that we have kept all these images um, and the captions here. So you can just keep on scrolling it. We'll be getting 10 images with 10 captions. So yes, this is all about lazy layouts and using the concept of collections inside in implementing the lazy layouts. So if you want to try, you can just put some other images with some other captions, or you can just put images for instead of using the captions, or put infinite captions. You just try to implement. We have implemented the lazy column here. You can also implement the lazy row. So yeah, if you have any doubts, you can ask. So I hope all of you have understood this concept. You can just complete the unit 3 with these concepts, and if you have any further doubts you can refer to the course or ask in the GDSC IARE community. So that's it for today. Thank you everyone.